before I get into the Q&A, I just want to start off this video with a little bit of an apology. I owe you guys an apology, and just want to get over this really quick. You guys know I've said multiple times that this series is one of the most enjoyable things that I do in the whole month on this channel, the chance to interact with you guys and answer your questions. And it's just a really fun, it's different from everything else I do. Everything else I do that is either a conversation between me and one or two other people or just me spewing off at the mouth. It's really a chance for you guys to have your say and make your own contribution to this channel. As, you know, cliche as it sounds, I'm not anybody without all of you guys. So I really do like doing this series, and you guys, since the inception of Ask the Phoenix, have never disappointed me. Always come out in droves, always come out, you know, to the point where you guys were asking me so many questions I had to, a couple months ago, put on that limit of 10 per person. That's a phenomenal response, and something that I really hope you guys know I don't take for granted. This month, up until a couple of days ago, there was 2 questions on this Q&A, and it surprised me. Not that you guys owe me anything, because you don't. Let me be clear on that. You guys don't owe me a damn thing. I owe you guys for being the great audience that you are. But it really surprised me, because you guys always come out in droves. So the past couple of videos I've done, I've sort of said, hey, there's only 2 questions in the Q&A. If there aren't more by the 25th, I'm just going to hold it off till next month. May won't have a Q&A. Now, as logical as that is, as logical as it is to say if I don't have questions I can't do a Q&A, it wasn't the most mature thing for me to say to all of you. So I do genuinely apologize to you guys for that, because you guys don't owe me a damn thing. And, you know, there's a couple people, a couple of usual suspects in the Q&A that always get their questions in right under the wire, right at the finish line, right as we get to the 25th, etc. And I should have known that those people would have pulled it off at the last minute, and that's on me. So what I said, like I say, I love this series, and if I did have to go a month without doing it for lack of involvement, I will be honest with you guys, I would be disappointed. But the way I went about that a couple of videos ago was not the proper way to do that. So I hope that all of you guys will listen to me from the bottom of my heart. For anybody that nobody said anything to me, by the way, I just thought about it a couple of days later. To anybody that may have even been a little bit offended by the way I handled that, wasn't the most mature thing in the world for me to do, I do genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, apologize. And because you guys don't let me down, and because you guys do show up at the last minute, because you guys are there for me at the finish line, it is May, and once again it is time to hear what you guys ask the Phoenix. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here indeed with your May edition of Ask the Phoenix. A couple little things I want to say before we move on. I did say the draft news about SmackDown going live, all that sort of thing. I did say I will address that, and I will address it sometime over this weekend. It might not necessarily be tomorrow. I will address the live SmackDown. I will address the brand split, SmackDown going live, all the other things that might entail, and how that change will affect this channel. That video will come out sometime over the course of this weekend, so please be on the lookout for that if you are interested. If you heard, I'm not saying that I'm on the top of any of your guys' lists, if you heard brand split and the first thing on top of your head was, I wonder how that's going to affect Spaz's channel, we must know. For the 1 or 2 people that actually might have legitimately thought that, I will be doing a video sometime this weekend to address that. But right now, we are here for Ask the Phoenix. We are here for your questions, my answers, and a little bit of fun. Starting off with the usual suspect, the Angry Mark. Is Dean Ambrose the most overrated wrestler on the WWE roster? I don't think by far. I think Ambrose is misused. I think they're portraying sort of they're trying to portray him as the maniac character, but they can't do any things that made somebody like a Brian Pillman or a Chainsaw Charlie or a Cactus Jack or Abyss, if you want to use an example from TNA, you know, a Sandman, a Tommy Dreamer. You can't properly do any of those things that made those maniacs because you would have to use barbed wire, you would have to use blood, you would have to use you know, colorful language, shall we say, mature subject matter, you know, MATV 14 type of stuff. They're asking him to play a character within the constraints that you can't portray that character in, and I don't think that's Dean Ambrose's fault. As a wrestler in the ring, I think he's a little different. Some of the ways that he does things are a little bit off the wall. I don't think he's bad. I just don't. He's one of those guys that's a very specific fit, and I think WWE's trying to fit that fit into their PG landscape, and I don't think it's working. I think they need to find a different way to present him, but that's more on the WWE's shoulders than Dean Ambrose. I really hope that answers your question. That was kind of a ramble to start. Why is Roman Reigns so underrated, and why do you like Roman? I, as you guys might know, have a habit of sticking up for the people that are not popular to stick up for. Now, that's not to be contrarian. That's not to be a fight starter. That's not to, you know, be on the advocate point of view. That's because people that become trendy to dislike are never as bad as they're portrayed, because what you do eventually, look at what happened with John Cena, for God's sake. It became so trendy to hate John Cena that everybody else wanted to have their John Cena insult be the best, so that you can be the best at this imaginary thing that is hating John Cena. And in that competition, you have people striving for the best insult, and then you realistically get out of the realm of logic. My example, I've always said it's the Bella effect. Now, I'm always clear on this. I will not say the Bellas were the best in the division by far. Absolutely they were not, but they were brought in to be eye candy, and they improved over time. I will not say that they were the best. I will say that they improved. I will not say that they are the best. I will say that they are better than people give them credit for. And that's the big thing. I can say that I enjoy Roman Reigns matches because he does show flashes of something that I want to see. Again, you pretty much get a Dean Ambrose scenario again. I think for Roman Reigns to be the wrecking ball that I think he wants to be, you would have to push the limits of PG. Again, so I think WWE lets him be intense so we can get a little bit of what we want, but then pull him back again to keep the censors off their backs. And that's not an excuse. It's a shitty thing for WWE to do. But Roman Reigns isn't the worst thing in the world. He's not horrible. Okay, promos, I'll give you that one. I like watching Roman in the ring. If Roman Reigns never spoke, maybe a bad example, but if Roman Reigns pulled sort of the Goldberg effect, just showed up, kicked ass, left, showed up, destroyed somebody, did something devious or whatever, left, ran through, I don't know, like have one of those scenes where some jobber tries to step up to a big guy and just have Heath Slater call out Roman Reigns and do his talky, and then you get destroyed by somebody. Have him just come out, not answer, not acknowledge, just destroy. And you could do that. And you see flashes of that with him in his matches. You saw what he could do in the ring with AJ Styles. You saw what he could do in the Hell in the Cell match with Bray Wyatt. You saw what he can do with both of his brothers from The Shield. You saw what he could do in a different way with guys like Triple H and guys like Brock Lesnar. I do think he's overrated. I think people overlook the good things about him and embellish the bad because, once again, it's trendy to do so. It's trendy to dislike Roman Reigns. So if there's this many good things to say about the guy and this many bad things to say, we're still going to focus on those little things because that's the trend. Excuse me. That's the trendy thing to do at the time. I will never say that Roman Reigns is the best in the company. He's by far not the best in the company. Would I even pick him to be champion right now? Probably not. But the thing is, if things were the other way around, if you guys all out there that hate Roman Reigns didn't know that the company liked him, you wouldn't be on his back so much, because a lot of it as well comes from the fact that fans these days want to feel contrarian because it makes them feel like badasses, so they will latch themselves to whoever the company's not paying attention to. Now, not saying that people like a Daniel Bryan, a Sami Zayn, and AJ Styles, whoever, are not legitimately talented and deserving of that fan base, but they will get more fans because they're the ones that the company is ignoring at the time, so that the fans feel like rebels. As soon as, if WWE put all their 100% focus on Sami Zayn, who's fantastic, people would turn on Sami Zayn because they don't want to agree with the company, because then you're not a rebel, then you're not a badass. I don't care about being a badass. You guys know I'm not. I sit here with my sinuses fucked up as always, slurring my words and stumbling over my sentences because it's indeed ridiculous o'clock in the morning. I hope I've proven over time to you guys on this channel that I don't care about being a badass. That's why I can say there are positive attributes of Roman Reigns. If you had control of WWE for a day, which wrestlers would you release besides Naomi? I love how you have to stick in the besides Naomi. Am I hard on Naomi? Am I really that hard on Naomi? There's people there with like separated shoulders and concussions and neck issues and whatever, and she's on Twitter bitching about a twisted ankle. Fuck the fuck off. But anyways, what would I do? I would, who would I release besides Naomi? Alicia Fox, only because she's not doing anything. Nia Jax would be at the top of my list. No way Jose wouldn't have got through the front door. Blake and Murphy and the Revival. I would keep one of them around, because I think in NXT right now they serve the same purpose, but I don't think we need both of them. So I would get rid of one of those teams. I wouldn't have repackaged Epico and Primo. That's just me. I know that's an unpopular opinion with some. Sorry about that, Guapo. I will apologize right now. Thoughts on John Cena being a part-timer? Now, I haven't heard this. I've heard people mention this, but I haven't seen or heard or read this anywhere. If John Cena is going to be a part-timer, that's fucking great. Because then you could, if he chose to do things the right way, he should take the Jericho route. Come in, pick a fight with somebody, maybe get a win over them to remind us that, oh yeah, by the way, we're not supposed to like John Cena, and then we can revel in their defeat. Jericho, as much as people say, you know, Jericho's Bon Jovi, and even I say that sometimes, as much as people want to say, you know, well, Jericho's just coming in to lose, so why do I care? It puts him head and shoulders above all the other part-timers that come in to put themselves over and leave again. I think if John Cena took a page out of the Chris Jericho handbook, John Cena as a part-timer could be one of the best things to happen to the company, other than the brand split, which we're going to address later this weekend. What would you do with Randy Orton when he returns? Oh, do what okay, maybe you don't necessarily need to give him the United States Championship, but basically have him do what John Cena did with the US Open Challenge. Get him in there. He's been gone long enough. There's enough new faces. Just have him run the gambit. Have a series of rivalries with all the new guys. Let him have a series of, like, if he comes back as face, let him have a series of fights, with Kevin Owens. If he comes back babyface, if he comes back heel, let him go head to head with AJ Styles. Let him go head to head with Sami Zayn. If you want to stick him sort of tweener, have some sort of scenario where Baron Corbin tries to prove himself against the legend killer Randy Orton. You know, have Baron Corbin come out and cut a simple promo, be like, I'm the lone wolf, but now I'm also the legend killer. Go after Randy Orton. Even if he gets obliterated, it's a good marquee match for a guy like Baron Corbin. There's a lot of things you could do with Randy Orton. I know a lot of people are worried about him and Cena being back in the title picture. I don't think you need to do that. They've won enough titles. They've earned themselves enough prestige, whether you like them or hate them, that they could do a lot for all the NXT crop that's coming up now. You could pair him with somebody. You could have Orton and Cena put over Gallows and Anderson. That would be big. But again, especially now with the news that we've just heard, again, I say we're going to talk about that fully another day. The draft that they just announced throws a big wrench into that. So part of my answer to this now is going to depend on what roster Randy Orton's on. Somebody that I think is first-time question answer for this Q&A series, and if it's wrong or if you've just changed your name, let me know, because I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. It's K-A-U, so I'm going to assume it's Cow. Who are your top favorite wrestlers of all time? Don't hold back. Ask me what you really want to know. No, in all seriousness, I I love and hate questions like this because it's an answer that could change by the day. And of course, when I say who my favorite wrestlers are, that does not necessarily go in line with me thinking they are the best wrestlers of all time. They're just the ones that spoke to me. So off the top of my head, I would have to say Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Edge, Jeff Hardy, and The Miz. And okay, now that I've said The Miz, the unpopular vote, I will have to say that, once again, when I say they are my favorites out there, that does not mean I'm saying they are the best wrestlers out there. They are not the best mic workers out there. They are not the best storytellers out there. They are not the best heels or the best faces. Actually, I'll take out Miz and put in Triple H, because the more I think about it, Shawn Michaels, in my opinion, is the best complete sports entertainer there's ever been. Close on his heels, and what I said was the reincarnation of Shawn Michaels in that aspect was CM Punk. CM Punk, very complete sports entertainer. Triple H, I think you could make a case that Triple H is the biggest out of wrestlers. I'm not saying like out of guys like Vince McMahon, Ted Turner, Paul Heyman, etc. But for actual wrestlers, I think Triple H has got to be considered one of the biggest success stories of all time. Edge, not only because he's my fellow Canadian, but because when he really got into his groove as a single star, as the Rated R Superstar, that crazy unhinged way that they did him, which is a way that they could do Ambrose now if it wasn't PG, but another story for another day, was absolutely fantastic. And Jeff Hardy, you guys know, Jeff Hardy as a wrestler is sort of like my guilty pleasure. Like, he's that one wrestler that you like, and there's a million reasons why you like the guy. There's a million reasons for people that don't like him too. I get it, I'm not blind. But it's one of those, if you wanted me to put why I like Jeff Hardy into a couple of words, I probably couldn't. Because it's the intangible, it's the it factor, to borrow a phrase from Bobby Roode there. Jeff Hardy was just, especially when I was younger, he was just my guy. When he won, what the hell? Why wouldn't I remember the name of the pay-per-view? I think it was like an Armageddon or an Unforgiven or one of those kind of names. When he won the WWE Championship for the first time, that was it for me as a wrestling fan. Like, there were other people that I followed that I was happy about. There were other guys out there, wrestlers that I like that are better than Jeff Hardy. But there is no, and I'm not ashamed to say this, guys, there is no other wrestler that had me that behind him at his peak. I mean, what he's done now in TNA and with injuries and whatnot, notwithstanding, when Jeff Hardy won his first championship, like his first world title, his first WWE world title, was something very, very special to me. The three-way between Dudley's, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys, everybody says it's cliche. It revitalized tag team wrestling in the WWE. Later on, in a singles realm, you had a scenario where you had, people always talk about the SmackDown 6. I refer to the SmackDown 3, which was Jeff Hardy, Edge, and CM Punk. Any combination of those three guys, and you knew you were getting a great match. Edge, people had his detractors. CM Punk had a lot of detractors at one point or another. And Jeff Hardy became a guy that it wasn't popular to like. But in my opinion, when you got those three guys together, there weren't very many other guys that were better combinations at the time than those three, or those three tag teams back in the tag team days. Really, really rambling answer for what should have been a very straightforward question, but I hope I answered your question. Cheney815 says, May, music, they both start with M, so fuck it. I'll try to keep my focus on wrestling as much as possible, he says in brackets. Which is appreciated. For those of you that are watching this for the first time, it is appreciated if you want to keep it sort of wrestling related. If you throw me a question that's not wrestling related in this forum, I don't care. I might not be able to answer it because you might be asking me about something I don't have an opinion on, like a show I don't watch or an event that I'm not aware of. So there is that danger. But I don't mind non-wrestling questions in the Ask the Phoenix Q&A as long as you keep them under 10. 5 favorite wrestlers' themes, past or present. Holy Christ. Not the original, but the immediate second Hardy Boys theme. I gotta go with DX. The Randy Orton theme that he had just after Evolution. And right now, tied for that last spot would either be currently Finn Balor or Shinsuke Nakamura. 3 least favorite would have to be anybody that came out to no music. The Right to Censor, which was just that combination of bells and buzzers and whistles and whatever. And the old Jack Swagger intro, I think it was called Get Down on Your Knees, which when he used to do the push-ups and shit before he had the All-American gimmick, was pretty damn terrible. Nothing against Jim Johnson or CFOs, we'll get back to them later, but do you think WWE should get the rights to songs like they used to back in the day with CM Punk for Cult of Personality? Abso-fucking-lutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. I don't even really have to go any farther than that. It's just Jim Johnson and the WWE's musical creative team, they do create palatable, generic music, for the most part. And they do hit some winners, like Finn Balor's music, like Shinsuke Nakamura's music. I don't know, Sami Zayn's is another one that really sticks out as being unique, but a lot of them are generic. Think about somebody like Apollo Crews has some pretty generic bullshit music. All 3 members of the former Shield have pretty shitty generic music. So yeah, I mean, if Jim Johnson is on point and he comes up with something like the Finn Balor, like the Shinsuke Nakamura, even Kevin Owens is kind of okay. But it's one of those, if you can't, then I don't know. I think it should definitely be an open door topic. I don't think it should be all. I don't think you should get all your music from the same place, because no matter how good that one person is, if you're getting all your music from one place, it's going to run together, I think is the best way I can put that. Have you heard yet Disturbed's cover of Simon & Garfunkel's Sound of Silence? Yes. I don't care if you've never heard of Simon & Garfunkel. I don't care if you're not a fan of Disturbed. Stop this video right now. Look up on YouTube Disturbed's cover of Sound of Silence. It's fucking haunting, and it's fucking wonderful. Job Team Barry crossover edition. John Cena, Peroxygen's Jeff Hardy, and Fozzie's Chris Jericho. I would team with Jeff Hardy. I wouldn't mind jobbing to Fozzy, and I will bury John Cena any day of the week. Oh yes, because I want to be one of the cool kids that hates John Cena. Look at me hating John Cena. Look at me hold up my little tiny tattered sign that says Cena buries talent. Oh wait, no he doesn't. Anyways, when you think, do you think Jim Johnson should have gone into the WWE Hall of Fame a long time ago? We induct commentators because they are part of telling the wrestler's story. We should induct referees because they are part of telling the wrestler's story. Managers because they are part of telling the wrestler's story. A gigantic part of a wrestler's story is the way they come to the ring. So the fact that he's not already in there, even if he doesn't hit it out of the park every time, he should already be in there. Aside from Rush, because let's be honest, they're unbiasedly one of the greatest ones from that region. Which musicians and bands are from Canada that you would deem as good? I don't listen to them all the time, but Billy Talent are fun. I think Finger 11 is from Canada. I'm not a huge Tragically Hip fan, which apparently makes me a bad Canadian. I know the singer just announced that he has brain cancer, which is fucking terrible, and props to him for that fight. Props to that whole band for taking that on their shoulders and continuing to tour and continuing to make music. In a respect way, I have an immense amount of respect for them, but they're not a band that I seek out. Another one that I'm not a fan of that apparently makes me a bad Canadian. I don't like Celine Dion. Did any of you think I was the type of guy that listened to Celine Dion? Oh no. Billy Talent. it's not the most hardcore shit out there. It's not the best stuff out there. But if you're looking for that sort of in between, you're just looking for some fun stuff from Canada. Also, Great Big Sea and Spirit of the West. One of them are for Canada. I don't remember which one it is right now, which is very unfortunate. But there's some, yes. At the risk of whoring myself out, since you mentioned playing piano years and years and years ago on an earlier Q&A, would you be willing to check out the piano covers I've done on my channel, particularly Live in Fear, particularly the Live in Fear cover? Sure. I will say, everybody, go check out Cheney815 and his piano covers. Anybody that does more than just one thing on YouTube has my respect. You guys remember that I used to try and do the show with Bird about Walking Dead that kind of died because life got in the way. I occasionally do the movie recaps with Kristen from Wrestle Recap, but that's because her channel's kind of being a bitch right now and she's having technical difficulties. Anybody that can consistently cover more than one topic on a YouTube channel gets a lot of my respect. So good for you, Cheney. I have a channel that is pretty singularly focused on wrestling, and it's a bit much for me. That might make me not the most badass guy in the room, but it's, again, just being honest. So cheers to you for that. Everybody that wants to see some cool piano shit, go check out Cheney. It's good stuff. If you were in charge of choosing a song for the upcoming SummerSlam, or any of the big four for that matter, what would be some of your choices? What would be some of your options? For SummerSlam, I think I would choose, especially if you could get them there live to perform it, check out the band Skillet. I think they've done a couple of songs for WWE pay-per-views back in the day when WWE had cooler music. Check out a song called Awake and Alive by Skillet. It's pretty good. It's pretty intense. The male-female vocal dynamic in Skillet is something that's kind of unique, and the female singer that they have is not only amazing talent, but also really not that hard to look at. Similar to, if any of you out there are fans of Sick Puppies, I would suggest check them out. Fantastic female singer and guitar player and fucking smoke show as well. Moving on. Fun fact, other theme choices for this month might have been King of the Ring, Future Endeavored Talent, and Keep on Doing What You're Doing. Oh, sorry, and Keep Doing What You're Doing, Spaz. Thanks for answering my questions. Good job. King of the Ring, I don't know how many questions you could have asked under that, but I'm sure you'll prove me wrong in a future Q&A. Future Endeavored Talent, I guess it's kind of good that you didn't go with that theme, because Guapo and I, a couple days ago, did an entire Google Hangout on that topic. So awesome. And the last one is Mizark10, and as always, I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I meant to put this question, meant to put this question to be answered in this video, but for whatever reason I kept forgetting. In the March Ask the Phoenix, you said the Women's Championship will never main event a WrestleMania. I'll backpedal. I won't say never. I will say there is a very, very small chance. Although I think that if they do things right, they could pull it off. I will kind of agree with you on that. But my question is, do you think a Women's Championship match could main event any other pay-per-view outside of SummerSlam or Royal Rumble? Basically any B show. I know that I think that has a lot more of a chance of happening. As soon as they did it at TakeOver, I was almost sure that at another small B pay-per-view, they will put the women in the main event. They've done it twice on Raw, where the women's match has either been the main event, or the women's contract signing has been the main event, or the women's just the women's segment has been the main event. Now, it hasn't always been successful. It hasn't always been met with a lot of applause from the crowd and from us here in the YWC especially, because some of them weren't done very well. But even if they weren't done very well, I'm glad WWE took that step. You guys know, I mean, look at my thumbnails. Most of my thumbnails for Raw and SmackDown and NXT are from whatever women's match happened that night. That is by design. As most of you know, I'm a huge supporter and a huge fan of legitimate female wrestling, and I think it deserves to get to a spot where we say, yeah, that should be in the main event. I don't think it's there yet. I think it does. Female wrestling deserves for WWE to put in enough work to make us think, hey, this is a match that belongs in the main event. If WWE can't produce a match that we want to see in the main event, it's not enough just to say, hey, women should be in the main event. it still has to be a case of WWE has given us a women's match that we think should be in the main event, and that's a big thing. It's one thing to do the whole feminist kick, and I'm trying not to be offensive when I say this, so please bear with me. It's one thing to take sort of a feminist standpoint and say women should be allowed to be in the main event. But you can't just throw two people in the main event to say, okay, here you go. You wanted it, you got it. It's your job to, the WWE and their creative team, it is their job to then take the women, give them the credit, give them the build, give them the story, give them the platform to tell a story that creates a match that deserves to be in the main event. Women's wrestling doesn't automatically deserve to be in the main event. Women's wrestling deserves to be pushed in a way that deserves to be in the main event. I really hope that makes sense. I really hope I'm not coming off as sexist when I say that, because I hope it does happen one day. I genuinely do. And the people out there that just love to rail about me being sexist and racist, I laugh all the way to the bank, because nothing could be further from the truth. I would hate Naomi if she was green. Just putting it out there. Also, maybe this question has been asked previously, but what are some of the bands you've seen in concert? Specifically, have you seen Hailstorm? I mentioned a few months back that I started getting into them, and I'm seeing them live in August. Awesome. I'm actually going to see Disturbed in August. I have seen Hailstorm live many, many times here in Toronto, and once down in the States with my good friend and former co-host Steffi Sunshine down there in Boston. Who have I seen live? That's a long... My first concert, believe it or not, and some of you might laugh at this, was Creed and Tantric at the Air Canada Centre in Toronto. I've seen Finger 11 a lot. I've seen Billy Talent a lot. The two bands that I will always seek out, always, no matter what they do, no matter if they put out a bad album, the two bands that I will always seek out if they come to Toronto or anywhere near Toronto are Disturbed and Linkin Park. Now Hailstorm's kind of on that list as well. Finger 11, Econoline Crush. I'm actually friends with the lead singer of the Flatliners, if anybody knows who the Flatliners are. I used to go to church. First of all, have a good laugh with that one. Second of all, I used to sing in the choir at church. Have a good laugh with that one. I used to sing in choir at church with the lead singer of the Flatliners in North York. So take that one to the bank. That's also good. I have seen I've seen Our Lady Peace live. I've seen Stone Temple Pilots live. In the process of going to a Disturbed show, I ended up seeing Slipknot live, which was an impressive visual show, but not a band I would consider seeing. I'm not a super hardcore guy with music, as much as some people on here think that I'm this really, really hard, like, metalhead rocker. Hailstorm, Disturbed, Linkin Park are about the hardest things I listen to. So when I went to see Disturbed and the other co-headliner was Slipknot, I'm like, and that's just me. I don't know. Oh, I've seen Evanescence live quite a bit as well. Not to be rude, but as far as awesome, kick-ass, female lead rock bands, Hailstorm, as far as my fandom, obliterated Evanescence. And Evanescence hasn't been relevant in quite a while anyway. Some people that I would like to see, I would love to see Metallica while they're still a thing. I don't know. I don't know who else. There's lots out there. I've been to lots of shows, but I've been to lots of shows to see very similar people, if that makes sense. But yes, Hailstorm, you guys know I'm a huge mark for Hailstorm. Anybody that has been watching this channel for any length of time and has heard my intros, my outros, my musical interludes, etc., know that most of the music on this channel is Hailstorm. And that's because I'm a huge mark. And Lizzie Hale's a fucking smoke show. So that is also a thing. Anyways, that's a good place to leave the Q&A. This has been Ask the Phoenix for May. If you are watching this Q&A for the first time, the deal is pretty basic. I do a Q&A. If you want your questions in the next Q&A, put them down in the comment section of this video before the 25th of June. And sometime after the 25th of June, I will do the June Q&A. That's how it works. Limit of 10. I especially encourage anybody that has never asked a question or never taken the chance to participate. If you want to start participating now, you want to be a new face on my screen, that's cool. Join some of the usual suspects like Cheney, like the Angry Mark, like Mizark10. James is another one that's on these things usually. Guapo is another one who's on these things usually. Not Shadow Man. There are names that I'm forgetting. I'm really, really sorry. The usual suspects, you guys know who you are. You guys know I appreciate you. And for those of you that haven't spoken up yet, I encourage you to do so. It's a lot of fun. Like I say, love doing this series. And as I say, every month, if I got busy and I could only do one video a month, it would be this series. As I say, sometime later on this weekend, I'm going to be talking about the brand split, the live SmackDown, and how it's going to affect this channel, so stay tuned for that. But until then, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality. Check, subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.